Good morning, everyone. This is your personal transformation strategist, Shauna-kaye Brown speaking. Welcome to another edition of the Monday Mindset Motivation. And today we're talking about money. It is a topic that so many people are afraid to talk about, especially Christians are afraid to talk about this topic. You know, the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And so sometimes we shy away from the topic because we feel as though if we talk about money, other persons are going to think that we're all caught up with it and we're going against the will of God. Now, that's why I chose this topic to talk about, because I know that many of us misconstrue the essence of why money is so important, and we conflate what the Bible is really talking about, the love of money, with just recognizing the value and the need to have money. So you have to understand that there is indeed a distinction, and it clearly says that the love of money is the root of all evil and not money in and of itself. So today I want to talk to you about the fact that yes, it is true that money cannot buy happiness, but I don't want you to chide yourself into believing that money is not important. I know for some people they may say it's a foregone conclusion, it's important, but it doesn't matter if I have money. But when you start telling yourself that, what you actually do is you ingrain in your subconscious that money is not important to you. And because it is not important to you, guess what? It keeps evading you, because your subconscious mind tells you that if it comes to you, it's going to make you unhappy because you have so boldly declared that it's not important to you. So you have to be careful what you say to yourself. I mean, it applies to so many different aspects of our lives outside of money, like basic things like parking space. Where I live, parking is always on the street. If you don't know how to parallel park, don't drive here. It's always on the street. And there are some people, for example, who will say, I always miss a parking spot. Guess what happens? Every single time when they show up, someone is right in front of them to take that parking spot. And I know it sounds really crazy, but whatever you tell yourself is what's going to eventually manifest in your life. Whereas somebody else may say, I'm so lucky. I'm always lucky to get a parking spot. I'm always on time to get even the last one. And some way, somehow, that person just happens to always get a parking spot because they believe that that is the reality of their life. The point I'm making is that whatever you tell yourself continuously, whatever you ingrain in your mind, is eventually going to become your reality. So if you keep saying to yourself that money is not important to me, it doesn't matter if I have money or not, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to be able to attract it. In fact, it's the reverse that will happen. You will repel money because it's not important to you. And your subconscious mind is there to give you the things that you need. It's there to appease you. So if it knows money is not important to you, it is not going to give it to you. Sister Camille says, good morning, sis. You look great. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you, sis. And you know, you're always encouraging us as well. You're amazing. And I thank you. I thank God for the work that He's doing in you. Thanks for joining me this morning. So everyone else, I also appreciate you all coming. I thank you for taking the time to join me for the Monday Mindset Motivation. You know, I'm always happy to have you. And if you're not yet a member of the Facebook group, Manifest Your Greatness Now, you need to know that you are more than welcome to join that space. So yes, back to the topic of the day, which is that money cannot buy happiness. We know that, like I said, it's well established that money cannot buy happiness. Wealth, if you amass wealth, that's not going to bring you happiness. But what brings you is the ease and security. And it allows you to do the things that you love to do. Thank you so much for the love, everyone. It allows you to do the things that you love to do. Like for me, I love to travel. And the truth is that if you love to travel, how are you going to be able to do that if you have no money? Just be realistic and understand that the money itself is not what you love, but the things that money can do. And I put it to you that there is very little that you can do without having money. Naturally, the most important phenomenon above everything is love. You know, in the Bible, in the gospel, when Jesus was asked, good teacher, what must I do to be saved? And he responded, he said, the first commandment is to love your God with all your heart, all your might, all your soul, everything. And then to love your neighbor as yourself. So we know that God's essence is love. We know that love is the most important phenomenon above everything else. So with that established, it also says that if you love money, you can't love God because you cannot serve two masters. As it says so in the book of Proverbs, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve God and mammon. You're going to be loving to one and you're going to despise the other. And if you're loving money, you can't love God. So I'm not here preaching to you that you need to love money. But what I want you to understand is that it is very important. It is imperative that you appreciate the value of money. That you appreciate that money has its place. And not that you're going to love it so much that you become caught up with it. But if you need to eat, you need money. If you need to travel, whether you drive or you take public transportation, you need money. Where I live, I need a card to swipe to get into the subway. Or you need money to pay your bus fare or taxi fare. The fact is that without it, you're not going to be able to get around. Without money, you cannot exist because you need money to buy the sustenance for your body. And I know a lot of pastors who preach about tithing. They don't preach about Deuteronomy 14 verses 22 to 26, I think. But in that chapter in Deuteronomy, it clearly states that when you go out and you work assiduously and you make that money, you need to have a big feast. You need to eat the tithes. That's what it says. So when you get that money, you're going to buy all the things that you love. Whether it is meat, strong drink, whatever it is, you're going to buy it. And it goes as far as to say that if the place where you want to have that gathering and have that feast is far away, you know, because back in those days, money was really kind. Money was really, they had a bartering system. So maybe I could give you a goat and you give me a cow. I'm not quite sure. But they had a bartering system and they also had silver and gold. And the scripture goes as far as to say that if the place where you want to celebrate is far away, you can trade your good in for silver and gold. And when you get to that place, you buy the things that you want. You buy your goat meat or whatever it is and your strong drink and you sit down and you have a feast and you share with the people who don't have any of their own. And that is essentially what it says. And that's about tithing. I can speak about that at another time. But the point is that it shows you the import of having money. If those people had no money, they would not be able to have that feast. If they didn't work assiduously to make money, one, they would not be able to have a feast. And secondly, they would not be able to give to those who were less fortunate. So yes, money is important. I remember I used to watch this series on I like to watch British television because I think the shows are so informative and so hilarious. So I used to watch this series called Rich House, Poor House. I don't know if any of you have seen it before. Thank you so much for the love. Hi, Karaje. And on that series, you would have two families who would spend a week in each other's home. So the rich person would go to the poor person's home for a week with their children and their entire family, and the poor person would go to the rich person's home. And essentially, they would step into the reality of each other. So what I'm saying is that when the poor person went to the rich person's home, they would be given a budget that the rich person would normally spend for 1 week in that house, and vice versa. When the rich person went to the poor person's house, they would be given a budget as well for what they would normally spend. And the disparity is always marked. Like the poor person is always £100 and something for the week that they would normally spend, whereas a rich person, it's always over £1,000. And I remember one episode in particular where the poor person in a normal week, they would spend about £1,035 and 6 pence. And then the rich person would spend £1,700. And it's just always amazing when they went to each other's house and they saw what the house looked like. Everybody was in awe, you know, for different reasons, because of course they're at two different ends of the spectrum. In fact, the show always makes it clear that the rich person is within the top 10 percentile of Britain, whereas the poor person is in the bottom 10 percentile. So it's opposite side of the spectrum, right? Now, what would happen is that when the poor person gets to the rich person's house and they open that jar, they take out the money and they see $1,700, they're so amazed because they're saying that that could pay my rent. And that's what I've heard persons express sentiments like, that's what I would spend in 3 months of working. So the short version of the story is that for 1 week, if not at any other time in their lives, the poor person will be able to live in affluence. They'll be able to buy without looking at the price tag. You know, if they weren't prudent enough, they'll be able to just enjoy the finer things in life. I remember there was one guy, and I felt it. I had chills when he said it. He was able to order takeout for his family, and he ordered pizza, and apparently the pizza had a stuffed crust. And he was just amazed. He said, I've never had a stuffed crust in my life. Now I could have it. Now you think of this as something really simple. But the fact is that His his circumstances were so minimal. He was almost living in abject poverty, such that a basic thing like a stuffed pizza crust, he had never had it before. So if you tell me that money is not necessary for you to have a great time, for you to be able to give your family some of the things that they may want, you're lying to yourself. And you're actually putting yourself in a precarious position, whereas you're allowing yourself for an excuse to be mediocre. And some people do that because the fact is, in order for you to earn money, you have to be willing to be diligent and to work hard. And some persons, it's not because of the spiritual connection so much, but it's because they want an excuse to be mediocre. So they say money is not important, because they realize that in order for you to earn money, you have to work. And notice I didn't say for you to make money, because the only people who make money are the people who work in a mint. But in order for you to earn money and to do this on a sustained basis, you need to work and you need to be diligent. In the book of Proverbs, in Proverbs 10 verse 4, basically what it says is that a poor person will always be suffering, but a rich person is a person who is diligent. When you're diligent, you attract riches. The Bible speaks about riches. Yes, it negates you trying to fall in love with money to the extent that you forget about God and you forget about what is important. But it also tells you that when you seek God first, when you choose God first, and when you're diligent and persistent in your work, your reward will be abundance, it will be riches, and it will be wealth. So there is nothing wrong with you recognizing the value in money. What is wrong is where you start loving money so much that you forget the value in other more important things. So basically what I'm saying is that when you start thinking about things like money is not important to you, or it doesn't matter, as long as you have your family, that is some nonsense. There are some other choice words I'd like to say, but I'm not going to say it. But that is nonsense, because especially if you have a big family, if you have children, how can you really be honest and say that money is not important to you when you're not able to give the children the kind of education that they need, when you're not able to allow the children to experience life from different perspectives? You can't do those things without money. And why do some people sign up for government benefit then if money was not important? They would just stay there and live in poverty and squalor and not take advantage of what is available to them. Because when you sign up for government benefit, you're either getting food stamps and money, or you're getting one or the other, which both of them include money anyway. So why do you sign up? I believe for some people it's just an excuse to remain mediocre and not to work diligently. So this morning, I just wanted to remind you as you go into your week, it is about motivation. And yes, you can use money to motivate people, because one of the reasons why we work and why we stay motivated to continue working is because we're getting a salary at the end of the week, or at the end of the fortnight, or the end of the month. That's our motivation. And if you get a bonus, or if you earn a commission, that's an incentive to motivate you to work even harder. So yes, you recognize the value in money, because you know that without money you cannot buy food for your family. You know that without money you cannot pay the bills. And if it is possible for some people, you know that without money you cannot experience any kind of recreation. So your kids are always going to feel like they are less fortunate than other people. So yes, it is very important for you to recognize the value in money, one, and two, for you to realize what you need to do to be able to earn money. And what you need to do is to be diligent in your work. Hi, Peter, it's nice to see you. What you need to do is to be diligent in your work. Whatever it is that you have chosen to do, or whatever it is that you're doing right now, you have to be diligent. As you seek to find God's purpose for your life, you have to be diligent in your job right now so that you can invest in your work. And the only way you're going to do that is if you recognize that money is important, and that in order for you to get to the next level, you're going to need some money for you to invest in yourself. Whether you're taking courses, or you're doing a degree, or you're buying books, you need money for all of that. And as I am wrapping up, I would like to share a synopsis of Lisa Nichols' story with you. For those persons who know Lisa Nichols, she's one of the most sought after motivational speakers in the world. And in fact, she is ranked as being in the top 1 percentile of affluent people in America. And persons who know her story know that she's coming from the bottom. Good morning, Peter. It's nice to see you. And it's nice to see you, Samantha. Good morning, my friend. So Lisa Nichols, for those persons who know about this lady, she was very, very poor. When she describes her starting point, it reminds me so much of myself. In fact, mine was perhaps worse, comparably worse. But she came from abject poverty, where she was on government assistance, where she was down to her last dime. She went to the store to get diapers for her son. Her son was a baby at the time. She has one child. And she really realized that things were horrible when she reached into her purse and she could not even buy the diaper for her son. And she realized that that was not the life she wanted. Because as an African American, she realized that her son was vulnerable if she didn't create better circumstances for him. And so that day she decided that she was going to change her life. And so she made some sacrifices. She said she moved from where she was living to a much smaller space, where she ended up operating an office outside of her closet. And she put mirrors on the wall to make the closet look bigger, etc. And the point is that she developed a way to earn money through motivating people and sharing her story. That was her starting point. But she made a point that was very salient. She said, I knew how to earn money, but I didn't know how to keep it. Because before she met her mentors, there were nobody there to teach her how to keep that money. But there was one thing that she did. She said she had an account at a popular bank. And what she did was she would write a check to herself. She basically downsized significantly from a 3-bedroom to a 1-bedroom apartment with her son, where she had a roommate. Actually, the roommate smoked, so she put things under the door to block out the smoke, and she was sharing a bed with her baby son at the time. And she downsized because she knew she was going somewhere. She didn't know where, but she knew she was going somewhere. She had a dream, and she realized that she needed to fund that dream because she needed money. So she was a member at this popular bank, and she would write herself a check every month to deposit in her account. And she told herself that every month she was going to increase the amount by 5%. And in the subject line, she wrote, funding the dream. And she said that because her mother used to tell her that money burns her pocket, she didn't want to see how much she had saved up over the time, because she knew that if she saw it, she would probably spend it. So what she did was she did not open the bank statements when they came home every month. And she funded the dream for 3 years. And then she decided, okay, let me go into the bank and see what, where my account is, because I've never opened any of these, I've never opened any of these bank statements. I want to see where the account is. So she got to the bank, she went up to the teller and she said, my name is Lisa Nichols. And the teller started to freak out and she said, oh, you're the funding your dream lady. And she said, yes. She called all the other tellers and everybody was so excited. And she said, so how much is my balance? And she said, what, you don't know? And she said, no, I've never opened any of the statements. And they were in shock. They were surprised. So the lady went in, told her balance was $62,000 and change, and she was just shocked because she did not know anyone in her family or anywhere else who had even $5,000 in their account. So she heard $62,000. She said, no. You need to look for Lisa Sharice Nichols, because that must be someone else. And if I take that money, you're going to come back for it and I won't have it to pay back. So check. They double checked and of course it was her. And she realized at that point in time that her life was never going to be the same again. She turned to her little son Jelani and she said, look, mommy is going to provide for you henceforth. Your life will never be the same again. She knew in that moment that having that much money at her disposal, and because she already knew how to earn money, she knew that she was able to create a different life for her son, the one that she had dreamt of. So the point is that she realized the value of money. And Lisa Nichols has never told anyone that she loves money, but she will tell you that money has allowed her to do so many things. She travels to every country in the world. She's one of the most sought after motivational speakers because she was able to use that money to invest in herself, to acquire the learning that she needed, because when she started out, she didn't even have a degree. She probably has a first degree now, but when she started out, she didn't even have college education. But money that she earned allowed her to be able to fund that. And for me, going to school throughout the years, going to college, going to law school, I had to rely on scholarships and the help of amazing individuals who saw some hope in me, and they helped me. It was their money that helped me and these scholarships. So if I didn't get those things, I could not have finished, because no university was going to say, Shauna-kaye, you're so smart, just go through and finish. No. The world does not hand you anything on a silver platter, and it certainly doesn't hand you your dream on a silver platter. It does not hand you money on a silver platter. And even though we see persons and we may say they're overnight successes, That's not true. You see an individual and they're doing extremely well and you know nothing about them before they came on the scene and you just assume that that person is an overnight success. No, they invested. Somebody invested in them for a very long time and all that investment took money. So as I come off the broadcast this morning, I just want to remind you that I am not entreating you to go out there and start expressing your love for money. You should never love money. What you should love is the things that money can do. You need to appreciate the value of it. Don't waste it. When someone gives you money because it didn't work for it, you just squander it because it doesn't matter, because you don't know how much sweat and tears and blood went into it. Start appreciating the value for money and the things that money can do. So as I leave you today, I just want to tell you that no matter what your circumstances are right now, things can change. It is not where you start that determines your outcome in life, but how much you want to get out of the starting blocks. This is a quote from my story in the best-selling book, that was released on August 1st. And this book is called Courageous World Catalyst, where a number of entrepreneurs, motivational speakers, and professionals came together sharing their stories. If you want to get a copy, it's available on Amazon. It is called Courageous World Catalysts, and my story is in that book. And I believe that with every fiber of my being, that it is not where you start that determines where you wind up in life, but how much you want to get out of your starting blocks. And I say this to impress upon you that no matter what your circumstances are right now, you can change them. You can make them better. You can get to the point where you want to go, but you have to make a concerted effort. You have to be diligent. You have to be committed, and you have to exert patience. To sum it all up, you have to have grit. And the motivation that you need is inside of you. I can encourage you, but I cannot motivate you, because if you're not motivated of yourself, there is nothing I can do to get you to believe in what I'm saying. But I don't want you to let go of your dream, because like everyone else, your dream is possible. Like everyone else, you were called out here to do something. No one else can write your book. No one else can sing your song. No one else can publish your book. No one else can do anything that you were called to do the way that you will be able to do it if you believe in yourself, if you believe in your dream, and if you understand that money has its place and money has value and you need it to do almost everything that you have to do in your life. So ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves an amazing week. Remember, join me here again on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for our podcast. That's when we have a very stimulating conversation. Until next time, have yourselves a great week and a great day. God bless you all.